I've got a question, maybe you can help me and maybe I can benefit and other people can benefit. So the question is, what advice would you give to your younger self knowing what you know now and experiencing life?
I mean, that's easy. I thought it for a while. Is avoid university or using any debt to go to university, or ultimately you don't need university in today's age. That's an advice I would have given to my younger self. This is advice I give to people today, and this is also an advice definitely for the future population.
Can you elaborate this, please?
I mean, if you look at, we always have to use history. History has already been done. It's been written. It can't be changed, but it can only be used. We can utilize history. But what most people, when they go to university, they think about the future. Probably the future hasn't happened. Yeah, most of the system we're planning for today is very unlikely to materialize. So when you're looking at future, there's no research, no history, nothing's backdated against future. So we are literally working towards based on opinions and current information, which is very unlikely going to be the way we want it to be. So when we look at education, we're going back in history. So we know when education was first created, the Board of Education from Rockefeller, J.D. Rockefeller, when he created it, he literally created factories. Problem factories, they needed workers. And where would the workers going to come from? Especially disciplined workers who can get the work done without having to be constantly supervised, without having to keep training normal people. We need a system where one person can be trained and they can train thousands and thousands of people. So we need a factory of workers. So that factory of workers was called university. So with university, we created to create population of doers, not thinkers. So as long as we have a disciplined population graduating every year, we're replenishing workers to run our factories every year. And to show that they're competent and they can satisfy the requirements for the jobs industry, like General Motors, when Ford came along, he wanted people to follow instructions because we're going to provide it to them. So show they can do that and everything, they graduate with a paper which we certify they can do the job they say we can do. And that's called university system.
So that's the advice you give yourself?
That's the advice I give to everyone. Like I said, the future self or not, we no longer need, and I think it's standardization education to do it, because it limits our thinking of what we can actually be. Most of the time we don't get to be what we want to be. We're holding information we're given. So we are very limited to standardization university provide. And if you don't believe me, every year you have doctors graduating. Every year you have psychologists graduating. What they're actually graduating is to find jobs to be doctors or jobs to be some psychologists. But yet they can't become bankers until we find someone graduating in finance to become bankers. So that's standardization. So if bankers need more bankers, they create a banking degree. If doctors need more doctors, they create a doctor's degree.
So what advice would you give to your younger self? So you've given that don't go to university. So how would one advise in the positive or?
With my younger self, growing up in the 90s, we were lucky because technology was coming in. We had Microsoft Word and everything. So we had basic information about how to use computers, get information from computers. But the generation before that, Generation Z, X, or the baby boomers, who are literally had very limited information. They have information very close to the community they were in. They won't be able to get information from people from other countries. We can get information from the world. So I was very lucky because the emerging of the computing era. So this generation of people who are living in the digital age, the information they have today is limitless.
So what evidence do you have to say that don't go to university? What is the proof? Did you yourself go to university?
I'm a 3-time graduate, and because I've graduated, I can compare myself. The feeling of being graduated, the burden of financial thing. But I don't want to. Everyone thinks university is about getting a good degree to get a good job. Finances are better, but those financial stress, they don't benefit you. They have an impact on you. They don't benefit you, because people forget universities are a big business, and what we define big business is the change of hands of money. The moment a student decides to go to university, they are looking for a provider for the course. A student loan. Student loan Scotland that we use student loan company. Money gets given to the student. The money gets exchanged again to the tuition fee for a university, and university back to the board, and so on and so on. So much money is exchanged from so many people's hands. So we have to assume that university is a big business. At the end of the day, when money is exchanged from multiple hands, it's a great big business.
So then how would you advise people to make living?
Information, leverage information. Today you can get the comfortable lifestyle, or whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, all those information. You got millions and tons of information accessible to you. So you should be in a position to be able to filter out the more need to know relevant information and not use up every information. So we have the resources where people are able to use information on how to get wealthy, information on how to have good relationships, information on every religion or whatever, but the important thing is how to use the information. We have tons of sources for them.
So that gives a hope for those who didn't go to university, that they could still be be affluent.
Yeah, I think if you look at a lot of the university graduates, I mean, they are actually aiming not to be wealthy. They're not even aiming to be rich. What they're aiming to be middle class. What middle class is a step above the working class. That is the American dream, the British dream, that if you continue to work hard, continue to work up the career ladder, you can make a life for yourself. What we mean by life for yourself: treat your family to a holiday every summer holiday, once a year. Buy the house that you're living in. Take your family out to a restaurant maybe once a month. That's the lifestyle we're referring to. The problem is that lifestyle is not continuous and sustainable. Should you fall ill, should you lose your job, you no longer can sustain the lifestyle, so you're back out. So how do you continue to live the lifestyle is to continue to remain in the rat race.